Yo, my name is Big Lou, and you are now listening to Go Produce. We're the show that explores how music industry professionals turn their passions into profit. In this episode, we've got Steven Kovacs, aka Bungie, a mad scientist equivalent, but with guitars. The Go Produce focus of this episode is, what does it take to be the best on the road? If you've wondered what it's like to go on tour as an instrument technician and what some of the struggles that you may encounter are, then this episode is for you. First and foremost, thank you, Bungie, for being here. I want you to know that we do appreciate your time very much, so let's go ahead and make the most of it and go produce. Listeners, let me tell you what we've got here for you today. Since 1996, Bungie has been touring the world as a guitar/backline tech, aka as a roadie for some of the finest musicians our country has to offer, like the late Jeff Healey, Tom Cochrane, Ian Thornley, and most recently, Kevin Hearn of BNL. That's Bare Naked Ladies, to name a few. From country to jazz, rock to metal, guitarists have trusted their instruments and rigs to him to create the best performance possible. Bungie, welcome to the show.
Hello, how you doing?
We're doing fantastic. How you doing today?
Excellent.
I like that. I like that. Out there. Yes, it's beautiful. Like I mentioned, we do appreciate your time, so we're just going to go jump right into the first segment of today. And we're going to start off with POW, the basics. All right. So the basics, what we're going to do here is we're going to run through some simple questions so that we can get to know you better. Simple. I like to start off with, what is your first musical memory?
My first musical memory? Watching Elvis, my grandmother.
Ooh, that's super awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a performance live or?
I think probably Ed Sullivan show, something, right? So, and then, every Saturday I'd be at her house and we'd watch Elvis movies because they'd be on cable TV, and she had cable in Stratford.
And that was the hype.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
And then she was a huge Elvis fan, so yeah, kind of got hooked there.
Was he a big influence, or is he still a big influence?
Oh, yeah, still a big influence, definitely, for everything, from performance to the way he can sing, but it was more his entertainment value. Because he just didn't stand and sing. He was like everything, right? And girls liked him. So.
Well, yeah, that was a big plus as well. There's definitely more than just the art of singing to do anything near what he was able to do. And how does that translate into how you carry yourself out as the guitar tech that you are?
Well, I started playing first, so I was in a band before I became a technician, of course. And so that, watching all that, when I actually went to play, I was like, okay, well, it's got to be more than just playing an instrument. It's got to be, you have to entertain people, and you have to, make people look and draw your attention. And then that just kind of, it's the same thing that I do now that I'm a tech. It's the same sort of thing for the bands that I work with to help them perform the same way, right? I guess.
No, it does come with experience, and even just being around it and observing really translates a lot. You visualize it, and you put yourself in the position, and it translates.
Exactly.
Why do people refer to you as Bungie? I'm curious. Is there history to the name?
Well, yeah, there always comes up. Why would your name be that? So it's really simple, actually. One, when I had really long hair back in the 80s.
When you did?
Well, when it was longer, but it was really curly, long, blonde, curly. And if you pulled it, it would go shorter, like
so
it's a natural bungee cord.
Ah.
Yeah, I worked for a band that had 3 Steves in it. So it got really confusing, really fast all the time. So the drummer in the band at the time, I can't remember what they're called. Tara Kane, I think, maybe. Shanghai Clan, that was the name of the band. But the drummer started calling me Bungee Cord because I would be bouncing around everywhere, and I'd climb into the rafters to fix lights and yada yada. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna call you Bungee Cord because you're always bouncing around, man. You're always there, and then you're gone, and then you're back." And that just went for a bungee cord down to bungee.
So how long ago was that?
God, 90, 95 maybe,
Ooh,
94
that's
maybe.
almost as old as I am,
Yeah.
but we don't need to go into that.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. No, but so around then, and then the sound man that I worked with at the same time, he started calling me that. And so all our friends, when we got back home finally from America, would be like, well, who are you talking about? Who's this bungee guy? It's like, well,
Who's
Steve,
Bungie?
you know Steve. And then everybody just started calling me that. And it's been that way ever since.
Bungie it is. I like it. I like it.
Ask
So
him why they call him Big Lou.
Why do they
wouldn't
call
you
you
like
Big
to know?
Blue?
Oh, we can't get into that. This show is about you, you know? That's we're just gonna keep it like that.
Yeah, stay out.
I was that?
I said, stay out of the conversation over there.
Yeah, exactly. So moving away from that, can you tell us a bit more about your time with Kevin Heron of the Bare Naked Ladies as his guitar slash backline tech, specifically, or like not specifically, just open.
So, 2010, I guess. A good friend of mine became the tour manager. He went from being the keyboard tech, guitar tech for Kevin to being the tour manager. So he had to be replaced. So he called me because we worked together in the past, like from the Jeff Healy days on, and said, "Hey, can you come and do this?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "Okay, I'll get back to you in half an hour." Calls me back. He's like, "Okay, yeah. So anyways, you got to go to the airport tomorrow. You got to be at the airport in Toronto at 2:45. You're flying to England. There'll be a car waiting for you, and it'll bring you to the gig."
What? Did you know the gig was in a different country?
No, I had no idea where they were on tour. So it's like literally pack a bag, tell my wife and kids. It's like, okay, so anyways, like I said, oh, they called me to work for Bare Naked Ladies, and she's like, oh, that sounds great. And then I'm like, okay, I got to go tomorrow to England. I'll be there for 6 weeks. So, and my little girl was just about to have her first birthday. It was like 5 or 6 days before her first birthday. But I'm like, well, kind of got to do this. So yeah, off of plan to go, show up. And then the best part of the story is the night before, I was actually putting up a chandelier in my daughter's bedroom. And it fell out of the ceiling and hit me in the face and cut the top of my nose. And of course, gave me 2 black eyes. Almost broke my nose, but not quite. I'm like, oh, great. So get on the plane, fly in there, show up. Of course, my friend grabs me right into the gig, like in cold. And for day one was just watch what he does and then figure it out from there, right?
Figure it out.
Yeah, so he introduces me right away. He's like, Kevin, this is Bungie. He's going to be replacing me, blah, blah, blah. And of course, Kevin looks at me right away, and I got 2 black eyes. My nose is all cut. And every day during sound check, the band will play a rap about something. Like they'll just be fooling around. So Ed starts singing away, and he's just like, so, got this new guy. His name's Bungie. He's Kevin's new tech. He's a brawler, likes to fight. He's going to throw down. So Kevin was actually scared of me for the first 3 weeks because he thought that I was a hothead and that I like to get in fights. So he'd be like, oh, no, everything's great. Everything's fine. Oh, no, that's good. Do you think maybe I could get a little bit more of my guitar in my monitors? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Is everything else good? Oh, no, everything's fine. It's great. Right? So it was interesting. And then I didn't kind of really, I'm not really a keyboard guy per se. I'm more of a guitar tech. So that I can do, but when it comes to Kevin's stuff, he's got a piano and then his whole rig is computers. It all runs through MainStage. So it was like a crash course of learning how to work that really fast. And then his sampler would quit all the time, and his old tech, which was my friend, would be like, oh, if it does that, you just bang it here like Fonzie. And I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So literally I watched one show. I think we started in England, and then the next day we went to Glasgow, Scotland, and it's just like, okay, you're in, go. Hope you took notes. And Kevin is a multi-instrumentalist, so he plays everything. Like during a song, he'll go from piano to put on an accordion, take it off, put on an acoustic, and then finish with a guitar solo on electric guitar. So it all happens during one song sometimes, right? And you totally have to pay attention. It's just like, and then made it through the first week, and
Then it became
then
routine.
I've been there coming up September. September will be 10 years. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I've been with them since then.
That's awesome. What about before then? Were there any artists that you've worked with that you don't necessarily have to give us names, but that have stories that shaped the way that you progressed with the rest of your career?
Yeah, well, when I started with Jeff Healy, that was a whole, it's a different thing because, well, right off the bat, he's blind. So it's like I thought, I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of weird things and different stuff. And it turns out that he can see more than everybody. But there are certain things of paying attention and watching the body language of how people move and do stuff. And I learned a lot from him on that, just on a person's particular mood, just by the way they talk or the way they breathe. And he could tell right away, stuff like that. So, and with him was a lot of paying attention, not so much for him, but for other people. Would often think that he needed more help than he needed and be like, oh no, leave him, he's fine. No, like, and the best was always like New Year's. When we did New Year's shows with Jeff, there would always be somebody come out holding a sign up in front of him going, okay, 5 minutes until midnight. They'd hold the sign up and I'd be like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I'm holding the sign up for him. And I'm like, yeah, you can't see it, just so you know.
Just so you know.
They're like, oh yeah, well, how's he going to know? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. He's got it.
He'll know.
But yeah.
He can feel the energy.
So,
that's super awesome.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he taught me a lot. And then he taught me a lot as a musician too. Because Jeff wasn't one of those guys that was just like a rock star. He was actually my friend at the same time. So yeah, he'd come to sound check sometimes and I get to, jam with Jeff. Sometimes he'd play drums. Sometimes he'd play bass. Other times he'd play piano. Right?
Whatever he's feeling like.
So that was very cool.
Yeah, neat. Was there or is there an artist or group that you've dreamed of working with so far? And have you? Are you currently living your dream, perhaps?
Well, I never looked at it in like who I'd really want to work for. Like mine would have been working probably Mike Campbell from Tom Petty, working in the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers camp, only because same thing, they're loyal to, they're a big family. So if you're in, you're kind of in, you're just a member of the family. And they respect the fact that if you don't do what you do to the best that you do it, then they can't do what they do to the best that they do it. And that's kind of carried on through anybody I've worked for. They've all been professional in that sense. If there was a problem with the show, it didn't carry on into the next 3 or 4 days of, you sabotage my guitars. It was like, let's deal with the problem and let's just go get a beer afterwards.
Nice. Deal with it, be open, communicate, and let's go. Because there really is no time to waste.
Yeah, well, and no matter what, there's always kind of problem. Nothing's ever going to be a perfect show every time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's how you deal with the problem rather than making excuses for the problem. Just deal with the problem and own it. That's simple as it goes.
That's true. I'd actually be more surprised if something goes flawlessly, perfectly according to plan. I was like, those
are the scary parts.
Yeah, that's
if you have three or 4 shows in a row where it's perfect, something's gonna happen.
Yep. And be ready.
And oddly enough, it'll always be the hometown show when all friends and family and managers are all out. Like every time we play at the Greek in Los Angeles or someplace in Toronto, Budweiser stage in Toronto, yeah, those are the ones because the band's, we got to do a great show, and because they kind of will something to go horribly wrong. And it's like, nah, it's like Murphy's Law, right? It's like, well, these last 3 days were great. Today's going to be awesome. And then the PA will shut off.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happened? I don't know why the PA shut off. Tuned guitars.
But do you think the people's mentality before the show contributes to that? So if they go into like, oh, I hope this doesn't happen, I hope this doesn't happen, and they focus on that, I think eventually it's bound to happen, as opposed to come in being like, no, it's going to go well, I'm not nervous, so and so. What do you think about the mindset before game day?
The mindset game day is definitely has a factor in how everything's going to go. If you're on edge and
you're just inviting chaos.
Want everything to be like over. Yeah, when you think you can control what's going to happen, it never happens that way. If you ease back into it and enjoy the day like it's the first time you've ever played, it'll be fun.
It'll be fine. Yep. You'll get through it.
Yeah. No, playing to 3 people should be the same performance as playing to 300,000 people.
100%. 100%.
And if you can do that, there'll be no problems ever.
Yep. Ha. Just do that. Just go ahead and do that every time.
Yeah.
In the ideal world. Perfect. Well, those are some not so basic questions. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling ready to continue, because our next segment is the pew 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 super fast speed round. Feel free to dance. It's cool. So what we're going to do here with the speed round is I'm going to throw 20 simple questions at you designed to be answered with one word. Either yes, no, this, that, both, neither. And then at the end, we do have the opportunity to go through anything that you'd like to explain. And if there's anything that is interesting, I will ask you. Cool?
Okay. Sounds
Beautiful.
good.
So let's get it going. Blue or red?
Blue.
Dine-in or delivery?
Dine in.
Do you like a big party or a small gathering?
Small gathering.
Are you bobbing your head to country or jazz?
Either and or.
Fair. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Is the G string your favorite string?
No.
Superman or Batman?
Batman.
Cups in the cupboard, right side up or upside down?
Upside down.
Can you fix a guitar in your sleep?
Yes.
Do you work hard or do you play hard?
Play harder.
Play harder. Damn. Do you prefer the term technician or roadie?
Roadie.
Roadie. Rich or success?
Comfortable.
New school or old school?
Old school.
Does your birthday always happen on the same day?
No.
Rock or metal?
Rock.
Working alone or in a team?
Both.
Time for some vino. Red or white?
Red.
Steven or Bungie?
Bungie.
Sweater or hoodie?
Hoodie.
And do you prefer being at home or do you prefer being on the road?
Home.
Home. Nice. Now, on to the clarification. Is there anything that you would like to clarify?
Well, home is the road, and road is the home. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
2 different families, but they're kind of the same family, because when I'm on the road, that's my family, that's home. Wherever we are, those are the people I trust and the people that I love. And when I'm home, my family, although like my wife, daughters, my mom and dad, sisters are my family who I trust and love. So it's kind of the same. It's just a different mindset, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm always home.
That's very interesting and like warming way to look at it. That's awesome. Okay. Do you have anything else that you'd like to clarify? Because I do have one that I do want to ask.
No, go ahead. No.
Okay, so the G string, it can be difficult. It can be a difficult string to tune on the guitar, but that's why we're asking. I'm getting something from the back right now, and it's really throwing me. We tried to throw this in to see how you responded, and it did not go as well as we wanted to. But we wanted to make sure it's not your fave. So, what is your favorite string?
Favorite string? D.
The D string. And
Yeah.
for what reason?
Because I have a natural pitch to it.
So
So
you can sink in
I
with
can
it.
hear it. If the
Yeah.
D is in, then I can make sure the rest of the guitar's in. And the G string, just to clarify for you guys, will always get you in trouble. Doesn't matter what kind of G string it is, it'll get you in trouble.
And what kind of trouble are you getting into because of it?
Oh, it could be anything. Anything.
We'll leave that.
It'll
We'll leave that for a
always
different time.
get you. Yeah, it'll always get you in trouble. That's all I have to say about it.
Noted. We'll keep that in mind for next time. Perfect. All right. So I'm a fan of considering different kinds of perspectives. So this is exactly what this next segment is designed to do. This next segment is called Pow. What's your take? What we're going to do here is provide you with different quotes, statements, or topics, and we only want you to share your opinion. Does that make sense? Cool.
Fair enough.
Constantly being on the road while touring is a game of survival. Let's start. Constantly being on the road while touring is a game of survival. Between, for example, being in a new place almost every night, to eating habits, mental health even, and relationships, it really isn't a life that everyone can stomach. What's your take on that?
It's definitely not for everybody. The hardest one, the one that I always come with is, remember, you have to live on a bus with this person or be in a van with 5, 6 other people. Some people that are definitely big loners and stuff, sometimes it really throw them off. The schedule being different, always, because you never know when you're going to eat. Sometimes you don't eat. Sometimes you don't have time. Can really mess with you. And if you're like your private space, sometimes there's not a whole lot of it. So sometimes it'll drive people nuts. So it's definitely one of those things you have to, it's like, the call to the circus, if you will. I always like to call it that way. We run away enjoying the circus.
Yeah. You're on the road. It's
yeah.
Interesting.
And a lot of people don't see that it's actually a job once you get out there. It's not all fun and games all the time. It's an actual job. So
yeah, you got to work.
That's kind of a reality shock for some people. So,
are there techniques you use to cope with this? To manage the stress?
Always have a good sense of humor about things. And, don't mind the little things, because those are the things that'll get you in the end. I always have a guitar for my hotel room, or be able to find a spot to go sit and play it for a while. And that is usually my stress relief syndrome, right? Find people with similar interests that you can hang with, right? And people that you trust, with your life.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. Definitely.
For sure. Interesting. How about eating? You said that you may not eat all the time. What is a semi-regular schedule for this? Does that? Yeah, it's kind of weird. What I've noticed, because I've been used to having catering every day for the last while, where everything's organized, and then there's breakfast and lunch and dinner. But you have to make sure that, one, eat when you're hungry and try not to overeat, but try to balance it between, honestly, fresh vegetables and salad and stuff that'll burn and fruit mixed in. If you eat steak every day and go with the non-healthier side of things, like fast food all the time, it'll keep you from, doing the performance that you can do, and you'll end up getting sick, and nobody wants that. And so you really have to make sure that you eat and watch what you eat. Exactly. It's a 24-hour job. You cannot just stop. You cannot. What about relationships? How do you keep up with the home that isn't on the road with you?
Um, that can be tough too. That tries on a lot of people. Since the advent of having, FaceTime and everything, which has been great. So yeah, I would always try to actually make the time every day to at least call my daughter to say goodnight
Yeah.
or have a conversation during the day, but mostly the bedtime. And then yeah, talk to other friends and family at home that you miss, but kind of stay in the loop on what's going on at home and that, you can't be there, but you're still kind of there. As long as you know what's going on and have a conversation and, you know, but it can be really tough.
Hmm. Is it wise for new artists entering this world of touring to set
Mhm.
rules and boundaries before going into it?
Um, it's always a good idea to start with them and see which ones you can follow.
Yeah.
But once you get in motion, if it's truly something that you want to do, you'll find how to make it work, right? Um, touring can very quickly make you decide that, you know what? Yeah, I'm pretty good fixing cars. I think I'd rather just fix cars, right? However, if it's the life that you want, you'll figure out how to make it work. And there's no real rule book or playbook to follow on that. Everybody's individual to that, to their own thing. But if you really want it, you'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah. And you at least got to try.
Yeah,
Like don't let any of these reasons deter you from even just trying. Yeah. Cool.
yeah,
Beautiful.
exactly. You have to try.
So, what's your take on this? Rock and roll is dead.
Isn't everything? So they say, I don't know, but you hear rock and roll in everything. So much as you can hear the blues and everything, you can hear the jazz and everything, and you can hear classical and everything, if you care to listen for it. It's all there. So I don't know whether rock is dead would be the term. It's just transformed, really.
Transform. Okay, so what about the best artists? Were they from the past, or do you have that kind of rock artist
Um,
today?
no, there's definitely new artists that are completely amazing. I won't always go, oh yeah, that's not as good as Zeppelin was in the 70s, right? But Greta Van Fleet is great. They're awesome. Though they sound like that, they're taking it in their own new direction. And thankfully, it's making, the younger generation actually go, wow, like that's awesome because it's not mainstream at the moment. Even though it's old, it's new. So I don't know. It's always that plaguing question. Yeah.
We had to throw it in there, see how you responded.
Yeah. 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 No worries.
Cool. So what's your take on the further technology gets, the better it gets? And I can expand on that. For example, should artists not use more modern technologies because of their capabilities? Because I've seen guitars that add reverb to even when you strum them. Does that not promote more creativity to the artists?
Um, I'm all for it. As I was saying, I take the baby steps approach. When you know the most basic, then you can add everything else, and it will make it more full. But at the end of the day, you have to go having all the new stuff. Can you still just take what you created and play it on an acoustic, and it's still great, or just play it on a piano, or play it with one hand, or just
Mm-hmm.
sing it a cappella? Is it
Mm-hmm.
still great? Is it still a great song? So it's kind of a yin and yang for me, right?
Right.
If you can do
It's really what
that,
you want to do with it.
yeah, the most basic, then you can expand and make it huge, right? It's all about what you hear in your head. And if you can create that in your head, sometimes you need what technology has to offer. Like, what would Mozart sound like now when he didn't have to rely on a symphony to do it? If he could do it all himself, would it just be pink noise?
That's a great question. It really
That's
makes
the
you wonder.
question. Like, think about if he could do all the things, but he had to get a symphony to recreate it, even though he could play all the parts. But now, technically, a Mozart could play all the parts. And he would be somebody who would use every bit of technology as far as you could push it and still want more. But would anybody want to hear it? That's the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a question. Yeah.
I'm dumbfounded.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Perfect.
it's like most of the composers, they were never happy with how a symphony would perform their stuff because still wasn't how they wanted it to be. Yet for people who don't really know music, they just like the sound of it. That's about as much as they can handle, right? They think it's good because that's all their mind can handle. Because you're not musically inclined, they don't play anything, so it's like they rely on others to make the music that they enjoy. So it comes down to that push and pull. So yeah, I'm for it and I'm against it. So
Right. Do you think technology affects your job?
Definitely. Well, yeah, as I said, the keyboard rig I have now is like, I love technology because I'm not carrying a Rhodes piano and a Wurlitzer and a grand piano and a Hammond. It's all in MainStage. It's a digital platform going to a digital desk. It comes out digital process speakers now. So it works almost better. And it's a laptop.
Right.
And a
Right. So it's
controller.
very simple. Well, it simplifies it. It's not very simple. What about perhaps threatening your role altogether? Do you think technology could get to that point?
I don't know. People still have problem changing their strings on their guitars. So they
Right.
can play them and they can play them awesome. But when it comes to adjusting the neck, I don't know. It's like, would you stop taking your car to a mechanic? So
Well, the mechanic might lose his job. You just go in, plug in, and the computer says this,
Yeah.
and the machine says that.
yeah,
I don't know. It's possible, but
still somebody's got to plug it in.
that's a good point.
Louis, your job is threatened, man.
Who?
You're fired.
What are you even talking about? My job is threatened? This guy, just go back to doing what you got to do in the background. That's cool. Thanks for tuning in. But I think other than that brief interruption, that was a super magnificent. Do you have anything else to add on that matter before we go on?
No.
No, okay, I thought that was cool.
You know, just as long as you can make it rock, use it. That's how that works
It's
for
true.
me.
It's true. Just, yeah. Does it sound good? Cool. That's it.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Well, that brings us right into our fourth segment of the day.
All right.
This one is called a wheel challenge. Pow.
Wheel challenge. All right.
Before we go into this, I do want to ask you, Bungie, are you into spin?
I'm into spin.
Ooh, it's going down. All right, I'm obviously going to spin for you. So
I'll make it
whatever.
easier.
What's that?
I said that'll make it easier.
Yes.
See,
yes,
you can be my wheel. You're my wheel tech.
Ooh, yeah.
You're my wheel tech.
I don't feel like my job is threatened right now, so we're doing well.
Exactly. See, because I don't want to spin the wheel myself. I have you to do it for me.
I got you. Okay, so I'm just going to spin the wheel, and whatever tab it lands on, I'm going to go ahead and explain that for you. Cool?
All right. Okay, you're freezing up a bit.
Oh, we froze?
Okay. Just a little bit. You're
Just
good
a
now.
little bit? How are we now?
Good now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. So what we got over here, we've got the whisper challenge. I'm going to be whispering to you.
Ooh la la.
And, well, I'm not going to be whispering to you. That sounds a little freaky. I'm going to mute myself so that you can't hear me, and you're going to try and read my lips, and you're going to say what you think I'm saying. Cool?
All right.
Let me just pull these up, and then I'm going to go ahead and mute myself now. All right, you good to go? Okay. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Any idea?
Yeah, maybe you should try putting the boots on.
Nope. But now I gotta say it again. So what I was saying is, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. They're setting me up
Maybe
for
you should try
success here.
putting your boots on. See, we almost got a song now.
Yeah, for real. Okay, let's try this one more time, or two more times. We got it.
All right.
War, children, it's just a shot away. War, children, it's just a shot away. I can't even run a mic. Am I not muting myself here? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so what
I
do you
can-
think I said?
On that one I didn't see. I got the grumpy sound guy.
Oh yeah, see, here he goes again. All right, we'll do me, and I'll mute myself now.
Okay.
War, children, it's just a shot away. War, children, it's just a shot away. Any idea?
No.
Tough. That one is Gimme Shelter from the Rolling Stones. You've got one more chance to salvage yourself here. Okay? Okay. Once there were mountains on mountains. Once there were mountains on mountains. Did you get that?
What is the mouse on the house?
Close. Once there were mountains on mountains. That's Station to Station from David Bowie.
Nope.
Bowie. Wow.
David what? Sorry, David what?
There you go. See, we're working together now.
Now let's play some David Bowie.
Bowie. I'm gonna just go ahead
Bowie.
and bow out because that was disrespectful. Damn. But yes, we did well. We survived the wheel challenge. Congratulations, although you got all three wrong. That just
Well,
leaves lots of room for improvement.
Something I'm working on is my hearing's going.
Ah.
If you would have swore right away.
Yeah, you're right. My fault.
Yeah.
My fault.
I
That's
understand.
okay.
Get me another drink. My guitar's out of tune. My God, what did you just do to my guitar rig? Those I understand.
From the distance, you probably get that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Fair enough. Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
That does conclude this segment. We are here on the final segment of today's show. This segment is called Clear the Air. Yo, we gotta get better at that. But that's cool. No worries. Moving on. In this segment, we want you to be honest about challenges that are common within the industry. Essentially, we want your help to become better, and we want your help to avoid unnecessary hurdles. Cool?
Okay.
Let's do it. So what makes for the perfect guitar?
What makes for the perfect guitar?
Mhm.
Staying in tune. I think is one of the most important things on it. It could be, doesn't matter how it looks, really is how it plays as much as it being in tune.
Right. Okay.
You know, and it has to be comfortable for you, the player, not for everybody else, as long as
Fair.
it's good for you. So it doesn't matter if the action's high enough to get your arm under or low enough to get a dollar bill between.
Mm.
If that's the way you like it, then stay that way. Don't change all the time. Well, this guy didn't like my guitar. Doesn't matter. It's your guitar, right? So being tune for me is everything.
It's okay.
Intonation.
And do
yeah.
you personally prefer to play with the same kind of guitar that you like to work with, or is there a difference there?
I've always been a switcher. And I mean that in the sense of I'll go from the Les Paul to a Stratocaster, to a Telecaster, to an Explorer, to a Flying V. All depends on my mood or
Whoa.
what I want to hear. Yeah.
So it's not like you prefer a brand over the other. It's just time of day.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Or if I want to hear something, because a Strat never sounds like a Les Paul, and Les Paul never sounds like a Strat. And I've tried for years to get my Strats to sound like Les Pauls, and
Hmm.
then it just became easier. Just well, if I want to sound like a Les Paul, why don't I just play
Get
a Les
one.
Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it so? I know you said it's based off your mood and whatever you want to choose, but is it also based off the mood of the music that you're trying to do, or perhaps even the genre of music that you're working with?
That'll come into play too. I have my one guitar that's my baby, and I made it. I assembled it in high school. I didn't actually make it from scratch, but I assembled it in high school, and it's still the one I play. So I will, if I learn something or I'm trying to perfect how it should sound or be played, I will play it on that guitar because that's most comfortable and I can make it do whatever I want. Then I will go, okay, this is sounding a little bit more like it's got to be, should be a Telecaster. Then I'll get it to get this Telecaster sound out of it. But I also, my main guitar, I made it so I can split the pickups and everything just for the simple fact of what would this sound like single coil? What would it sound like with bridge and neck pickups together? So my main guitar will do all of it. And then from there, I'll go, yeah, no, this really needs a real Stratocaster on it. And then I'll concentrate and go focus on just a Strat sound. But I'll put it all together with one guitar.
And there's no way that someone new can even can like imagine fathom having something like a setup like you just said. And
No.
you build up from that by learning the very
Mhm.
basic and then taking
Yeah,
small steps like you were mentioning earlier.
exactly. Yeah. And it's weird how it always comes down to kind of the first guitar you got, whether it was great, bad, or anything, is where you kind of pick, because I know people who are Les Paul peoples or Gibson peoples and people who are Fender and they're Strat people or they're Telecaster people. And they usually stay there. Like I still, basic shape for me has got to be kind of a Stratocaster shape because I'm most comfortable on it.
Right.
Doesn't mean I don't like to put on a Les Paul, but to me, you play it totally different. And I'm more of a player than I am a sitting down player. So Les Paul's got to be held a certain way, and a Strat's got to be held a certain way before you're comfortable playing on it. So I
Well,
find
yeah.
that's just personal, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, interesting. And does your ultimate metal
you
what is I cut
went
out?
out there.
Okay, I cut out.
Yeah,
Cool.
you cut out a little bit there. My
Okay.
ultimate metal.
What is your ultimate metal? What is your I don't understand this question.
Say what?
Oh my gosh. Strike 2. Perfect. We're almost done. I could live this day. My next question for you, Bungie, is
Just
what is it
wait.
like to
I'll
have
be the host, okay? I'll be the host for this one, okay?
look at this
What
guy.
what Lou is trying to say is if you have a favorite metal guitar, not made of metal, which is what he would have said, but
I probably would have.
Uh, Favorite guitar for metal would either be a Gibson Flying V or a Gibson Explorer.
Just because of the feel. It's personal.
The way you can play it. Just the V, I find, and an Explorer has a place where your wrist sits just right at the edge of the cliff, if you will. Your wrist can hang over the edge of the cliff, but you can pick really fast. It really helps with picking fast, and that's what metal is about, is picking fast. And I'm not really a good picker, but I'm most comfortable if I have to play metal, it'd be on an Explorer.
Interesting. Cool. My my next question would be what is it like to have an immaculate guitar setup? Like the strings have to be changed and in tune, the intonation has to be right, there has to be endless variables. What's immaculate?
Um, I think what has kept me going in this is I will set up the guitar according to the player, not what I think is right or what should be. Like, I mean, there's country guys will set up the guitar. They like the intonation out. They don't like it perfectly set up, just because it has the you know, the the 3 saddles instead of 6 saddles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always a little bit out, but I will set it up according to how the player plays. And I'll actually get people to play and show me how they can play first so that I can kind of understand. And then I'll play their guitar after they've tuned it and they play it and go, yeah, this is how I like it. Can you just fix it from there? And that's when I'll go, okay, yeah, your neck needs to be straightened a little bit. So that's going to lower the action. So if I straighten the neck a little bit, then I'll raise the action up a little bit. So it still feels the same, but it intonates perfectly, right? So an immaculate setup is not always, it has to be clean, shiny, and spotless. It just has to be perfect for the person who's going to play it, right? And for it to stay that way.
Yeah. I wonder why would they want the intonation out? What is the advantage there?
Mostly because they played for so long with it out, they've just already compensated with their hand by bending the strings into tune. And so when it's perfectly in, it throws them out because they're used to having chords a certain way. Like there's no 2 people in the world that play a G chord the same, ever. Like I can play it and it'd be perfectly in tune. If you were to go play that same guitar, it would be out of tune. And oddly enough, you'd have to retune the G string in order for it to play in tune. And this brings us back to that whole, why is that the string I hate the most?
Yeah.
That's why. Because if you play an open G chord, which is probably the greatest rock chord ever for making sure your rig works,
Yeah.
no 2 people will ever play it in tune together. Like if I play it and it's perfectly in tune for me and I hand you my guitar and you go to do it, it'll be out of tune.
That's hilarious.
So I can kind of compensate for how people press and play, right? Because I like to call myself a Neanderthal because I grip it like I have to break the end of the guitar off. Other people want to breathe on the strings and play a chord. They barely press. Those are the hardest setups for me because I find it really hard to play that light. However, I have found in the last couple of years, if you relax your hands, you can actually play stuff a little better and you don't get as tired.
You don't get as tired. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
it's true.
your hands don't tire out and you don't get that lactic acid buildup where you can't open your hands, but you can't shut your hands. Yeah, if you relax, you can still play just as that's the hard thing is how do you play intense without gripping it and playing it really hard? You can play just as intense by relaxing. So yeah, and I've just learned that in the last couple of years. So I've played for a long time. So
I feel like you're some kind of like mad scientist for guitars.
it's been known. I've been told that before. No, because I'm the person that'll do it though. Like if somebody goes, I want all 6 single coils to work together with these 3 out of phase. I'll try it. I'll wire it for you. I know it's going to sound crappy, but if that's what you're after, that's what you're after.
Yeah. Cool.
Who am I to tell you no?
Yeah, for real. For real. Before I ask the next one, I'm just going to fix this.
Nice.
Okay. Can you clear the air about what it's like dealing with tough personalities on the road? You said you spent some time on the road and you become a family. You have like very limited personal space, but difficult individuals. What do you do when you can't just go home?
A lot of it is you have to keep yourself in the happy place. You can't let it affect your personal being because if it does, when you're dealing with somebody who's intense and grumpy and doesn't want to be there, they will steal your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do. So
Vampires.
It's really tough you really have to hold that energy in you and find a happy place to be, even in the middle of the worst thing, and find an outlet. Like mine is, okay, now it's time to go play some metal. That's what I need to do right now. It's like pick up a guitar and I want and really something really aggressive, or figure out some weird jazz chord that I've never played before. But yeah, when dealing with individuals like that, you really have to be able to focus yourself into a happy place to get away from it and not let them take your energy away from you, because that's what they do.
They really
right?
do. Do you ever find yourself in the position where you were on tour with said vampire and then
Mhm.
tour concluded and now it's time to go out on the road again? Would you go back on the road with the same person that haven't learned
Um,
what you did?
Depends.
Almost is it worth
Cause,
it?
well, no, cause sometimes there's, I always like to see that if I go back, maybe this person's changed. Maybe they've had the downtime. Maybe whatever the pressure was that was making them crazy before is now gone. Maybe they've, come to terms with it and they're going to be good again. And for me, it's not so much the artist I'm working for, it's the crew that I'm working with. There has been a few where it's just like, yeah, if those two guys are going to continue to be the monitor guy and the drum tech, let's say, yeah, no need to call me because I will not travel with them anymore. I cannot, it affects the way the whole job's done. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's moments where I've contemplated, okay, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
Right.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Uh, to add to that, when you're in your lonely place, when you're in your happy place by yourself, holding on to that so you can stay sane, is the onus on you solely to resolve this issue, or is there a tour manager that helps sort this kind of problem? What happens there?
It depends. Well, for anybody who's just starting out, it's going to be your bandmate. That's who you're going to spend the most of the time with. And there's really nobody to resolve that issue other than yourselves. I mean, as you go up the network, we have, whether entourage becomes more and more and more people. Like I was out last year on the Hootie and the Blowfish tour. We were opening, Verniculates was opening for the reunion of Hootie and the Blowfish. There were some people on the last day of the tour after 3.5 months that I had no idea were on the tour. I met them on the last show party. I'm like,
What?
you were here the whole time? Yeah, never met you. Nope, never met. Hey, what's going on? But yeah, so the further you get up, there's more ways to separate yourself from it. But when you're starting out, now it's the 3, 4, 5, 6 of you in the van, maybe with the sound man, maybe the guy, friend who wants to be the roadie. But it's your little, you have to work it out and find your happy places and resolve the issue. As we talked about earlier, like it has to end when it happens. Like if you're mad at the guitar player for something, be mad at him. Tell him why you're mad. And then end it though. Don't drag it out for a week. Right? And vice versa. And and realize, like as I said, like, the onus is on you. So, you know what? Yeah, I was being a dick. You were right for calling me out.
It's okay to admit that.
And yeah, and the band will go. Like, I mean, you wouldn't have U2 to this day. I'm sure that they punched each other out multiple times.
No.
But they figured out their space to be in.
Yeah.
But they had to figure that out over the first 3 or 4 years when they were in the back of vans together and had to stay in rat holes and sleep in the van sometimes and, not shower for a week and people smell and, and you have to share a crap dinner and then somebody wants ketchup in the crap dinner, but I don't like ketchup in the crap dinner. Well, who put pepper in it? Because I don't like pepper in it. I mean, those are the little things that will take you down.
Yeah. They add up.
So, yeah.
I hear you. So you obviously put your time in with the smaller crew and you build, you grow.
Yeah.
How do you get a contract to work on tours for artists with as high profiles as the ones you've worked with, other than putting like time in? Is there something special that you got to do? Like,
well, this one, like I get asked that, and I've always been, I'm kind of Kramer on Seinfeld, right? I've always fell ass backwards into it. Like, and then, but because of my reputation, it was more word of mouth for me to move forward. And then when I worked with a certain amount of people and then we separated ways, we came back together later, right? And that's the family of this becomes huge, right? Because I have now I have really good friends who live in Nashville and stuff because I spent 3 months with them on the Huey tour, right?
That it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Um,
Yeah, but no.
oh, I thought you
Sorry?
were gonna talk again.
Oh no, I
Okay,
was
so
just gonna say, but the biggest one though is make sure that you make acquaintances all the places you go and be friendly to the venue people and everything, because they will remember you, and it all helps. Being nice always helps. Yeah, like I mean, you're okay to be the crusty guy one day as long as you own it and apologize for it. Hey man, not you guys, just me today. I'm having an off day, but it all helps
yeah, be kind.
bring
Be
you
kind.
along to where yeah, and be
When
good at your job and love your job. So
yeah, that's true. When you're working with the high profile artists, I'm curious, what does your payment structure look like? Is it biweekly paychecks or does it come in a big lump sum? What happens there?
it depends. Everybody has their own way of doing things. So usually it's weekly that I've known, but at the same time you can be put on a salary. So you might get a lump sum, like half up front before a big tour and half at the end. Um, it all depends on what you're doing too. Like for say lighting crew people, they're not always with the same band. Like I'm pretty loyal, or I'm on with Bare Naked Ladies. Like I mean that's who I work for. That's all I work for right now. Like I can go and do different things, but I'm contracted with them to be with them
That's awesome.
for until I decide not to be with them, or they decide
Right.
they don't want me around anymore, right? But yeah, so it all depends on the deal you work out, too, right? And you don't always take what they throw at you. You're okay to question things, say, well, I need it this way or I want it this way, and if you can't do it this way, then maybe this is not the job for me,
Then it's not. Yeah.
right?
Cool. Cool. What about when you're not on tour? Because you're not on tour every single day. How do you stay afloat then?
Good at banking.
Good at banking?
No, give away. Yeah, no, I'm just good at hiding money because I know that I'm going to be out of work for 3 months. I know when the end of the tour season is. I know that January is going to be slow, so I'll prepare for that. But while I'm at home, I run, I help run London Guitars at Music City, Canada. Now it's called that. So I fill my off time with that, and so I make money doing repairs and stuff there. So even though I'm not working, I'm still working. So I'm always
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun and you love it, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
In all of your experiences, what was the biggest technical disaster you've had to deal with?
Biggest technical disaster I've had to deal with. Oof.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to go with the airline losing all our gear and having to headlining a sold out show in front of say 30,000 people in Finland, and the airline lost everything. So showed up there with I had a couple sets of strings in my carry-on because they lost their luggage too. So I had to go make an announcement that if you want Jeff Healy to play tonight, I'm going to need a guitar. Can anybody lend him one? And for some reason, in 20 minutes, I had like 40 most beautiful Stratocasters I've ever seen. But this was my first European show. Like I'm a month in. This is my first time doing something that big. And right, and I get a call from the tour manager going, hey, just so you know, the band's not in a good mood. The airline lost their luggage. I'm like, oh, that's okay. They lost all their gear too. So let them know that, yeah, I got it figured out, right? Yeah, no, the list can go on. That's just the one that really stands out because that was like the first one.
If you could go back in time,
Yeah.
what could you have done to change that situation? Nothing. Wow.
It's all fate. So when you say goodbye to your gear at the airport, but always be prepared for it not to show up. Like, what do you do then?
It's not impossible.
Like,
What did you
always
do?
have something
just
in mind.
asked.
Yeah.
You just asked. Cool. And you saw what happened. Cool. Awesome. Finally, last question. How many hours are you up at night after seeing someone smash a guitar? Be honest. It's not like heart-wrenching pain ripping through your body.
Not really. I'm not. There's not really a whole many that I would actually cry over, because somehow I put it back together. That's kind of what I do.
I believe you could. I believe you could. Like, I have no doubt you could. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we are now so fresh and so clean after we've cleared the air. Thank you for that. And that also brings us to the very, very end of this episode, which is super awesome. I hope you had a great time. I've got some closing remarks. But first, I want to ask you if you have any final words you'd like to share with our listeners. And also, if you want them to find you anywhere, where they can find you.
Find me anywhere. London Guitars, 46 Charterhouse Crescent. That's the place to find me if I'm not on tour. Other than that, you won't find me. I stay off the grid as much as possible.
Fair.
But no, that's the best place to reach me, and I have my own email there. So it's bungie@musiccitycanada.com.
Awesome. Okay. We'll toss that into the show notes. Cool. Perfect. Well, with that said, I'd like to thank our listeners. I hope you guys learned something today. I want to give a bit of a shout out to the Grumpy Sound guy. You weren't horrible, so that's cool. And also a shout out to Prevail Media Group, because without the team and the venue, none of this could be. Lastly, and mostly, we're going to pretend that makes sense. A great big thank you to you, Bungie, for coming out here. We out. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, then follow us on Instagram at go.produce. Check out our show notes, support us on Patreon, and help us grow this community. All of this and more can be found on our website at goproduce.ca. I am Big Lou, and I want to make sure that until next time, you go produce.